The Matrix cycle as it once was had been disrupted at the end of Matrix Revolutions. Significant changes came about, including a truce between man and machine. Matrix 4 is set to reveal the results of these changes to the equation. But what exactly were these changes, and how did they affect the future of the Matrix universe? Welcome to Matrix Explained.
Welcome to the desert of the real.
For centuries, humans were subjected to many cycles of the simulation, each cycle lasting about 100 years, with certain events repeating, leading towards the same conclusion. Close to the ending of each cycle, the system's integral anomaly is manifested inside a human. That human is then manipulated by the Oracle to lead him towards the Architect and learn the inevitable truth about the Matrix. The anomaly must then allow Zion to be sacrificed to save humanity and choose a set number of humans to repopulate the new Zion. The anomaly would return to the source and restart the cycle all over again. This was supposed to be Neo's fate. This strategy lasted for at least 600 years. However, something changed. The Oracle threw a wrench into the plans by adding new variables to the equation that caused an imbalance. Neo did not choose humanity. We don't know exactly when the Oracle started to add these changes, but we theorize that it all began with her first encounter with Neo. More specifically, the cookie that she gave to the One. Rewatching the Matrix films, we saw two fundamental elements that broke the traditional cycle. One was Smith turning into a virus, and two was Neo's love for Trinity. Both elements can be traced back to the Oracle. When Neo destroyed Smith, part of his code was embedded into the Ancient. The Oracle may have known that this was going to happen, or maybe it was unexpected. Remember that Neo was not supposed to develop such a strong connection with Trinity. He was supposed to feel that connection with humanity in general.
Your 5 predecessors were, by design, based on a similar predication, a contingent affirmation that was meant to create a profound attachment to the rest of your species, facilitating the function of the One. While the others experienced this in a very general way, your experience is far more specific, vis-a-vis love.
Trinity.
Everything changed after Trinity kissed Neo. From that point on, the equation and the Matrix cycle were disrupted. Everybody then found themselves in uncharted territory, whether they knew it or not. The point is, Neo destroyed Agent Smith, but by doing so, he unintentionally created a bigger threat for himself and the Matrix. Neo contributed to the unbalancing of the system, just as the Oracle wanted. This would explain why she always spoke in riddles with Neo, acting as if she didn't know what would happen, and that Neo made a believer out of her.
But for what it's worth, you've made a believer out of me.
Regardless, Neo's showdown against Smith in the Matrix ended the established cycle, and the Oracle achieved the result that she wanted. Her dangerous game changed the equation, even though its variables were already unpredictable. As a consequence, new terms were reached. The first change brought on by this new cycle is that Zion was not to be destroyed again. Zion was destroyed and rebuilt 5 times before. The city was created by the machines as a method of control to manipulate the anomaly. Neo chose to save Trinity over humanity, but he took an alternate path to save Zion, which was a peace agreement with Deus Ex Machina. The path that Thomas Anderson took in Matrix Revolutions was not the path of the One. It was the path of Neo. His path. The path of the One always leads to the salvation of humanity through the destruction of Zion, but Neo did not accept this. His way of fulfilling his duty was to save them all, humans and machines. The second change that occurred in the cycle was Zion's safety. Zion was protected by gigantic doors, tunnels, and machines, but they were all pointless. The machines were pretending that they couldn't get to them, making the citizens of Zion believe that they were safe. The difference now is that Zion is under the protection of those same machines that were once sent to destroy them. They are protecting and working together with mankind. In the previous cycles, the One deposited the anomaly's code into the source, reset the Matrix, and spent the rest of his days living with the founders of the new Zion. But in the case of Neo, he did not spend the rest of his days with the people of Zion. The machines took his body, and he appears to have been reconnected to the simulation. The Matrix cycle was not restarted. The sixth simulation continues. Zion was spared. Humanity was at peace with the machines. And more importantly, humans who wish to leave the Matrix can do so without reprisal from the machines.
What about the others?
What others?
The ones that want out.
Obviously, they will be freed.
The Oracle was also possibly referring to the programs in the simulation. If so, then everybody would be able to live in or leave the Matrix. These changes, or new variables in the equation, are elements in the Oracle's attempt to find peace. Or so it seems. Maybe she is doing this to somehow create a single civilization composed of humans and machines. A future in which there is no war, but unity. However, to reach such a result, the Oracle must operate within unknown variables. And that is why at the end, when Seraph asks her if she always knew, she said no.
Did you always know?
Oh no. No, I didn't. But I believed. I believed.
This is because the Oracle can only know what she has experienced or intuited. The Oracle can trigger and predict events that have occurred in previous cycles. But when Trinity kissed Neo and Neo destroyed Smith, the variables became unpredictable to the point where the Oracle began to act like a human, showing faith in Neo as he managed to unite humans and machines. Now, after understanding all of this, we can say that Matrix 4 is uncharted territory for everyone. Nothing is predictable. The Oracle once said that Smith's reoccurrence was the equation trying to rebalance itself.
What is he?
He is you. Your opposite, your negative. The result of the equation trying to balance itself out.
This means that the equation does affect the simulation. There are mechanics in place so that the Matrix equation can attempt to repair itself. The goal of the simulation's equation was to find a way to fool 100% of the human population. But as we have already established, the new variables and changes now allow humans to leave the Matrix willingly. Zion is still standing, and the One was reconnected to the simulation. We can classify this as a state of total imbalance. The Matrix will no longer be spending its resources to deceive 100% of humanity. They will use them to deal with these new variables. This means that just as the equation allowed the reemergence of Smith, in Matrix 4, there could be new disasters resulting from these new variables that the Oracle inserted into the equation. The fact that the humans and maybe programs can now be freed from the Matrix, that Zion was not destroyed, and that the anomaly is still alive makes the equation more unstable than ever, posing a greater threat than the Smith virus. The most logical solution to this problem would be the destruction of the Matrix equation to prevent it from trying to rebalance itself. If a new simulation is to be created, then it must allow humans to be awakened. Its focus should not be to deceive people, but rather to explain their reality, to educate them. Only then will true peace be accomplished. Those humans who learn about what happened in the war may choose to remain in the Matrix, while others would prefer to wake up and help rebuild the real world. However, if mankind continues to be subjected to the Matrix and its rules, each variable that was added will always result in something similar to Smith, or worse. But do you agree? Are these aggregated variables that the Oracle introduced more dangerous than they are worth, or will they finally bring peace? For Matrix Explained, please leave a like and subscribe. And thank you for visiting the Desert of the Real.